And so let's go to, you brought them up. Let's go to Stacia and Nate.
Stacia and Nate.
Dr. Pepper comes over to see them. And she tells all the couples, I'm here to help you and to kind of, facilitate conversations or whatever. But, so her question is, what's been getting in your way in terms of getting what they need? And Stacia was like, I move quickly, and he moves slower. I could deal with my emotions, so I wanted him to be there with me, and I realized he's not there. And I kind of put that on him, and I shouldn't have. Dr. Pepper was like, okay, I want you to understand you didn't marry you.
Yes, that statement right there is the best statement that Dr. Pepper has said in a long time. You did not marry you. And I think a lot of couples, when they get married, think they marry themselves and they want the person to conform to who they are. You can't do that.
Well, not even conform to who they are, but like you're expecting you out of somebody else,
right? And
they're not you; they're them.
They're them.
So that is a valuable lesson for relationships. Period. Work relationships, romantic relationships,
church relationships,
parent-child relationships. Don't expect to see you out of somebody else. Now, somebody else can maybe be at the same level and standard you are, but they're not you.
Yeah,
their commitment won't be the same as you. You cannot do that.
When I learned that young in life, it made my life so much, and I learned that young in life, it made my life so much easier. To realize people are not going to do what you would do.
Right.
And they're not going to work like you would work or grind like you would grind.
Not necessarily.
Or hustle like necessarily.
Even if they work hard and grind, they're going to still do it like them. It still ain't going to be like you, because only you can be you.
Only you can be you.
And if you busy being somebody else, who's going to be you?
Who's going to be you?
Okay.
Message.
But she told her, you're entitled to that. But expecting you from somebody, you're going to be disappointed. And Nate says, sometimes I can be concise and kind of matter of fact, and that's not what she's looking for. She's looking for, expansive, whatever. Dr. Pepper says to Stacia, consider his household. It wasn't a lot of female influence, and this how females operate. We don't have any problem spilling our feelings and talking about our feelings, and men don't always do that. And when you don't have that womanly influence, so we find out, of course, Nate's mom wasn't there, but he did have a stepmom, but his stepmom and dad got divorced as well.
Yeah.
So he didn't have a constant female influence. He had a man's influence, a military father, later on a down south father, men don't cry father, a strictly business father. So we ain't talking about no feelings. Deal with it and let's move on. She said keep that in mind, and they realized that a lot of disagreements they have is her concern because she never saw him like that. Well, in the disagreement that they had, Dr. Pepper said, how was that disagreement? She was like, her concern was, I never saw him like that. When he was like, oh, now you got emotion. She was like, well, I didn't want it like that. So that was concern.
Because, again, it goes back to being raised by a man. When you feel like you're being attacked and you don't know how to handle the response, you come back with an attack response. And he felt like he was being attacked by her for not showing emotion. So his first sign of saying, you know what, I'm going to show you emotion and you may not like it. And it's kind of petty about it. But, again, that's something in marriages you have to realize and you have to grow to, that you can't go tit for tat, right? So it has to be one of those things that you mature to and get to understand each other. Now, don't get ran over, but there's a way to articulate that, and there's a way to converse to your spouse about how you're feeling without jabbing and going back and forth.
Dr. Pepper suggested to Nate, what you do is, why don't you tell her, like, I'm angry, but I'm not going anywhere. So that's some reassurance, because a lot of people, when they angry, they think, oh, you going to leave me? That means you're going to walk out, that type of thing.
You're going to get paid cigarettes and never come back.
And she suggested, like, when you have these tough discussions, that you hold hands, and it'll modify how you talk with each other. It'll remind you that you're a team, that he's not the problem, she's not the problem, but there's the problem, and we as a team going to attack the problem. And that makes both of them feel better.
That's a great exercise. It works.
That makes both of them feel better. And Dr. Pepper asked them, have they consummated? And we find out that they have. Don't know when. Was that before or after the dessert? After
I'm telling you, it was after the dessert, dog. There's no way in God's... Well, it is a way, but...
but
But 95% of the chance it was after dessert.
They have consummated, and Dr. Pepper said, I find that, it's good. It makes consummating can bring you closer to that person. It helps. She said it like this. It helps anyway. Like, you can have sex anyway. That's good. But it's even better if it's somebody you actually likes.
Yeah.
Love.
Care for.
So they write their letters to their younger selves. I thought it was cute. Stacia says, "Dear Stacia," or Sweet Pea. That's my nickname. That was cute. She said her advice was, you're not gonna fit in.
Hold on, you got to break it up because she wrote 2 letters in one. Because she wrote it to her first to third grade, for elementary school self.
Right.
And then she wrote it to her high school self.
Right.
So she kind of broke it up a little bit because she had to tell little Stacia, little Sweet Pea, some things, and she had to tell big Sweet Pea some things as well. So.
So she talked about, not fitting in and being picked on, and you'll find a group of friends that, will take you through. And for high school, Stacia, be strong, live in your truth. Be yourself. Still kind of the same thing for both, but don't get stuck as in elementary, Stacia, with the fact I'm getting picked on. That carries into high school. For Nate, here he go. He says, Nathan. Both of them being all, and he was like, moving back to the States will be difficult. But choose your own path. There's nothing wrong with being unique. Learn how to control your temper and, express your talents. And in 9th grade, your dad's going to divorce and you'll be quiet most of that year. At 14, but snap out of being an introvert and do some extracurricular activities. Listen to your inner voice and be proud of yourself. And Stacia realized, when it comes to that, we were really very similar.
And I understand Nate being a black African-American man living over in Germany, because I figured he lived overseas in Germany, and being biracial from his standpoint. It is a different culture when you live overseas. He talked about when coming back to America, being a black guy. He had his shorts above his knees and it's a different way of dress there.
Back then, because they roll them up now.
Yeah, roll them up now. You want to show you the thighs off. But back then, it wasn't a cool thing, right? It wasn't a good thing. When you lived in Germany or you lived in other countries, European countries, being an African-American man, the fashion statement, you could get away with a lot more stuff. Now coming back, kids going to make fun. They don't understand the culture. And that's what it was. They didn't understand the culture when he came back to the States. And he didn't understand the culture of being in the States. And so therefore, he had a disconnect within school, and which caused him some frustration. And as we talked to Dad later, caused him some fights. Nate used to throw down. Right? I got to fight on my block. But it causes that when you're dealing with a teenager, when you're coming from a military family and moving all around. You pick up different cultures, and you don't fit into the place where you're at with just one culture.
Yeah. Stacia said she was surprised at how deep Nate went, and this was the level of communication that she was looking for from him. So she was pleasantly surprised.
But she gotta give him time. The problem was she never gave him time, or the exercises. She never gave him time. She wanted it from day one. Not understanding his background, not understanding where he came from. But anyway, I'll digress on that. To me, she rushed it. Yeah,
they go visit his old neighborhood. He said he lived there for 5 years until his dad got separated. And when he went to high school, and that's when they moved into some apartments. He said for his one memory he had, his dad would let him go out and meet with the other kids and hang out and chill or whatever. And in the process of him talking, his dad shows up. But he told Stacia how they was out there throwing rocks, so I could throw the rock, and he threw it through the window.
Yeah.
And how he took off, he didn't get caught. And then that's what his dad says, I'm finding out some stuff that, as he's grown, that I didn't find them. But he said, Dad said I would tell him that, don't start a fight. Don't start a fight ever. But I had a few confrontations because of Nate, Nate loved to start a fight. So I had to stand up for him. And
Nate had to throw those hands.
Stacia asked Dad, she says Dad or Joe, which one? He was like, either one is fine, call me whatever. He said, how was it raising him as a single father? And in talking, Dad got kind of teary, and later on, Nate says, I never seen my dad cry. I never seen that side of him. But anyway, he says, they used to commend me for being a single dad, taking care of my kids. But my thing was, what you commended me for, what I'm supposed to do.
Well, I'm doing what I'm supposed to do.
I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. I'm supposed to take care of my kids. And I wouldn't have it any other way, take care of my kids. And, you talked about my dad's from the South. He grew up with multiple siblings, and he usually doesn't cry. This is the first time I see him cry, and the dad says the same thing, no, you don't cry. I'm from the South, raised by men, you don't cry, you don't show your emotion. It's not that you don't have emotions, like you said before. You don't cry. You pass that on to him, and, he was like, you deal with it, and you move on from that.
You get the job done. I mean, and then if you get a guy from the South who probably worked in the fields farming, you don't have time to do any other things. Then you get to go to the military. Again, they ingraining you, hey, dress right, dress any matter, get the job done, right? Whatever it takes to get the job done. And so now you're at this standpoint, and you're raising kids, and you look at your life and like, hey, I've been successful just getting the job done. So I'm gonna teach my children, my men, look, get the job done at any cost, and go out there and have that mentality, which is not a bad mentality, but it's a mentality that's how you share it and how you express it.
Yeah, and Stacia shared with Stacia shared with his dad how when he met with her friends for the brunch, and he brought up his dad, and how much he appreciated what he did, how he got choked up and all like that, and his dad was like, oh wow, okay.
Yeah, it was a touching moment. I mean, I really appreciate Nate opening up and his dad opening up, and Stacia really seeing that. As she said, I can truly understand where Nate comes from, and seeing the growth that Nate has made, being opening up, and now going to therapy with her, and dealing with some of the issues that he had dealt with in the past. So,
then we see her take Nate to the apartments where she grew up. She said she lived there from 1st to 11th grade. And she talked about how she used to walk to school. She even walked to school up to middle school because it was just that close. And she said it was a funny story. At one point, with her little entrepreneurial skills, she used to make jean purses for the girls at school and sell them. And he was like, oh, wow, that's ironic, because I used to sell bootleg.
I sell knockoff, though.
I used to sell knockoff stuff. We was both selling purses. And that was like,
hey, hustlers,
y'all
baby.
silly.
Hustlers, baby. Hustlers.
Y'all silly. But she talked about how, what the story is, so she was on the volleyball team, and her mom wanted to move. And so she had a friend, I think her name was Deborah.
Dana.
No, Deanna.
Deanna.
I wrote it down. Deanna. And she said she ended up living with them, and what Deanna's mom said was because when they found out she was going to move, she told her mom, she was like, she's got such a good group of friends here, and she fits in, you don't have to leave, she can stay with us. And so she ended up staying with them. And the good thing is that the Stacia said was Deanna's dad was there, and she said he really became a father figure for me, and stood up for me and looked out for me, because he talked about how when she was going out on a date, she was like, where you going? And she was like, I'm going out on a date. He was like, I need to see who this young man is. He needs to come to the door.
He honked the horn for you.
No, you don't go outside when you honk the horn. I need to see who this is. And so I know you say, and be back by a certain time. And he was like, he actually had her back an hour before that. But she said how much that meant to her.
Yeah. Because
she didn't have a dad in her life, her dad in her life. And so she knew that he had her back, and he was a protector of her, and he treated her with respect.
He was really protective for her. I mean, I think that's what helped ground her, to see what a man could do or what a husband should be like, because that was her example of it. And I think Stacia's she's learned that. She's learning that, and that's what she expects Nate to be a protector, be a provider, and being able to take care of not necessarily her but the children when they would have them. So I thought, it was good to see the family that took her in and took care of her. It was great. Been there in that situation, but it was good when somebody live with somebody because your family moved. It's great for people to take you in. So.